Hey everybody, just fumbling through my programs there so I can get the game recording. I did not see an option to play this game in kind of a minimized window or like windowed mode, so you'll just have to watch me fumble through my recording software to start and stop recording. What I want to do with the Conflict of Heroes here um, is I want to take some time and just demonstrate different concepts of the game. When I posted my video, I went to Video Game Geek, so very similar to Board Game Geek, except they do Video Game Geeks, and it's like part of the same network. But they have an entry for the Conflict of Heroes Awakening the Bear. So I posted my really long 1 hour video there, and when I was there, I looked at some comments and some forum things, and maybe it wasn't here. Where was it? It was. Well, now I can't remember where I saw it. But anyway, somebody said, "Hey, how come somebody doesn't show an AAR or little tutorials that explain things like group movement, group firing, things like that?" And I said to myself, that's a good idea. The first mission, it seems that's what people spend a lot of times showing and demonstrating the game with, and that was with Partisans, the one that I did yesterday. But that doesn't really lend itself to vehicles or group movement, group firing, things like that. I mean, you could do it, but there's no vehicles. But I thought, well, this mission right here, it's the second one, and it actually sets itself up specifically here in the beginning for group movement, like really, really well, because I've got all my units grouped right here. So I'm not going to do an entire playthrough, but what I want to do is just start a little series that shows some of the different concepts behind the game, such as, like I said, group movement, firing, vehicles, things of that nature. So no vehicles today, but today I'm going to talk about group movement and group firing. So I have here my group of infantry. This is really set up nice. Like if you, okay, I play a game called Chain Command, and this would be like a full squad right here. This would be a rifle team, and this is your light machine gun team, and together they constitute a squad. It's not quite that way here in this game. This really is your rifle squad, and then this is a heavy weapons team essentially. It just made me think of that layout. Alright, so anyway, I want to move all these guys up towards the objective, and at some point we'll start scattering them into the woods for protection while we assault the point. Now, you could individually click every single person, assign them their APs, and move them forward. Now, the problem is, by individually moving these folks forward, you're going to have no support for that one guy who's rushing forward. And when you play with non-persistent APs, meaning you can't click back and forth between the different units, you would actually have to do an opportunity action on one of your units in order for them to respond to a threat that pops up. And that's wasting APs. But when you do a group movement, that allows you to actually move every single unit forward on one activation before your opponent can go. So let's show you how this works. So we know that when you click on a unit, they're all going to receive a certain amount of action points, okay? So I'm going to click on this guy right here. Now he gets 9 action points. Now to set up a group, you're going to hold down your shift key and then activate everybody. Alright, so lucky me, we're all going to be working with 9 action points. We'll see how it looks when I start moving forward. Now this guy right here, he's got 0, and he's got his already been used band. Yeah, I'm not going to. What happened is when I first popped in, the Russian player played a minefield on this guy, and that uses up all his AP and pretty much activates him for this turn. So he's not going to activate this entire turn. So I could spend cap points on him to get him to do stuff, but I'm going to save those cap points. So we're going to leave him behind. Now the other thing I've noticed is that everybody here, they're in the same hex. So I don't like that. The game doesn't really support like kill squads, kill stacks that you might see in other board games. I mean, there's no stacking limit. I could put a lot of people in one hex. The problem is, if your opponent shoots the hex where all of these things are, then the fire attack is made against every single item in that hex. So I try to spread it out. Now with a fire group, as long as all your pieces are connected, they're within range and they can see the target, they add a +1 modifier to the main person that the fire attack is made around. So like if I was using this machine gun unit as my primary source of the attack, then everybody in the group who's adjacent and within line of sight and range of the target adds a +1 bonus to my attack roll. That's why kill stacks are super awesome, because if you put a whole bunch of people in a stack and then attack a unit, you're going to have huge combat bonuses. That's why people make kill stacks. But the drawback is, if someone attacks that hex, every single unit gets attacked. Now, this move is set up the same way. Everything has to be adjacent when you do a group. These two are adjacent because they're in the same hex, which is adjacent to these guys who are in this hex, who's adjacent here and adjacent here. So you don't have to have this first part be adjacent to them. You want to have like a continuous chain, an unbroken chain of continuity from the first set of units to the last set of units. If I'm moving and the Soviet player was to say kill this one unit and it breaks the chain, then it does break the group. And what you would have to do is spend time moving the two separate groups back close together again to continue your group movements or group firing. So right now we're connected. I'm going to do some group moving. What I am going to do is try to separate them out into separate hexes. So as we move, I'm going to start with this machine gun guy right here. So I'm going to move here. Now, because I'm doing a group movement, normally what would happen is, because I moved this one guy, it then goes to my opponent who gets to do an action with one of his units. But because I'm doing a group, I get to move the entire group first before my opponent gets to do something. So what I'm going to do is move him up, and now I can move him up, and now I can move him right here, and I'll move him up, and I'll move him there, and move him here. So now my opponent gets his turn. Okay, he shot and missed. That is group movement. I have an unbroken chain of continuity of adjacent units. Every single one of them gets to move before my opponent gets to take an action. And here's the other thing. Your APs, your action points, for the group equal the unit that has the smallest amount of action points. So like when I was highlighting all these guys, and if I had some of them I clicked on, if they came up with 5 action points and one came up with 7, as soon as I start doing my group movements, they all drop and equal the guy that has the fewest action points. So you can't have some people in the group use their full 9. That's another thing to consider when you do a group, is they have as many action points as the lowest number in the group. So I was really lucky that they all had 9. So unless I forgot to change a setting for the APs, I was super lucky. Now you can see though, I started with 9 action points, and when I was moving up through the clear terrain, these folks were losing just 1 action point, because it takes 1 action point. But because this guy moved into some woods, his action points dropped from 9 to 7, and now you can see everybody in the group has that 7 action points. Now if I was going to shoot with this rifle unit, let's say I was going to shoot with him as a group, what it would do is it would look to see how many people in the group were also in range and could contribute to the firing. So I would rather fire with the machine gun as the primary, because he's got a much higher attack score. And if I hover my mouse, it says I have a 16% chance to hit. I would need to roll a 10. So basically, he doesn't really contribute a whole lot to this attack. And then my other machine gun units are too far back to really participate. So if I really wanted to have really increased odds of shooting at this guy, what I would do is I would put like my machine guns here, have like a row of machine gun units that would all contribute to the fire group. So this is a terrible fire group. This is a terrible example of a fire group, but does a really good job of explaining how to move. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to move him up here. I'm going to move him into some woods. And that was some light woods, so his AP is only dropped by 1. So we're going to come to this guy. We're going to put him here because I want to move them to where they stay in that, you know, that continuity that we were talking about. And we'll move him up. It'd be nice if I could really get these machine guns up. I'm not saying this is the best group movement example, but again, this is the advantage of your groups, is allows you to have everybody in your group move before your opponent gets a chance to act. Now, the only other thing really to consider about groups before we wrap this up is if part of your group moves, everybody has to move. So I can't say on that particular activation that you 3 guys move and then you 3 guys fire. Everybody does the same activity. So if I have them fire, then everybody else has to do a fire action. They can't move. So the group acts the same. So there's benefits to a group and some drawbacks. You just have to have careful management of your group. What I want to do is I just want to move him up, and I want to move him up, and I want to move him up, and I want to move him up. Oh, I had him facing the wrong way. Dang it. Gotta be careful about that. And I don't want to move people too far away, but we'll move him there. Move him there. He was foot nerve. Did I? Yeah, see when they have this white outline, that means they've already acted. So this guy here, I think we'll stop right there. Oh, does he have to move? Oh, let me not. Stall. I guess they're going to make me move. Oh, here, I'll just move Mountain Open. Okay, now my opponent gets to do something. Now see, watch. His smart thing would be to attack. Oh, he would have been smart to attack this hex because there was 2 units in it. Alright, so here's what I want to demonstrate. Now, I can fire because this is a new activation and nobody has moved yet. We can all fire. I want to see if this machine gun here, if he's going to get any supporting fire from these 2 machine guns, if we have a better than 16% chance to hit. No, it's still 16. You know what? I don't know if it calculates that before I attack. I would think it does. But that's how a group fire attack would work. Is I base it around him, and then everybody who's in range. Let's see, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, double range. That's long range. Machine guns are 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, that's crazy. These guys are out of range. They have a long range, but then there's a penalty. So it's probably taking into effect that all my machine guns here are not quite close enough. Let's move forward one more time. I might have to do 2 turns of facing enemy gunfire just so I can get close enough to demonstrate what group fire potentially would look like. That's okay. You guys are worth the effort. Let's just keep the group moving. Oh. We got... He came out of hiding. Who did he shoot? I think those guys were already hurt. We had to move up one more. I'm sacrificing strategy. Oh, it was my machine gun unit. I don't have enough to rally, so they're not going to get close enough to participate. Alright, now, with this guy here, to rally costs, I think it costs 5 action points. So what we're going to do is spend some caps here.
Ja, Herr Hauptmann.
Oh, it goes for
Yeah,
the group.
Herr Hauptmann.
I don't think it's going to let him rally even if I build up. Yeah, I can't rally just individually. Part of the group like that. Oh, but check it out though.
Ja, Herr Hauptmann.
Oh man, I was hoping I could just get enough caps built up to rally, but no, because when I spin the cap, it gives all of an action point. All right, so hold on. Okay, so you might be asking, what just happened? Well, for purposes of trying to get close enough to demonstrate a fire group, I have foolishly moved a whole bunch of my units forward out of protection, trying to get folks in range. He's just foot pinned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, this machine gun unit should be close enough to provide some kind of bonus for him when he shoots. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should be able to get a bonus from this guy because he's within range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a group, but I'm going to make just a small group. So I'm going to activate him, 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 and him. He might not be close enough, but because we had to have that continuous line of connection to make a group, I had to include him in the group. And now when I go to shoot, it's even worse. I get an 8%. Oh, because he's the one that's active for this. All right, machine gun dude, 27%. So he was only 1 hex away earlier, and I was getting a 16% chance to hit. But now that I've moved a little bit closer, I am getting a 27% because somebody in this group is contributing at least a +1 die roll modifier to my attack. So it's not perfect, but that's the concept of the fire groups. So what have we learned from groups? You hold down the shift key to add in everybody to the group that you want, and I think if I hold shift I can take someone out of the group. Well, I think I already made the group, so I can't take them out now. So be careful when you make your group, they're stuck in the group. When you move a group, they all have to take that same action. So if you do a move, they're all going to move for that particular activation. And you want to keep them in that contiguous chain in order for them to keep using the benefits of the group move. When you group move, you get to move everything 1 activation before your opponent gets to move. So it gives you a chance to move a group of folks up versus 1 unit at a time. When you group fire, everybody needs to be in range and have line of sight to the target, and it will give you a +1 for each contributing unit to that attack to the unit that you designate as the primary attacker. Let's see if we get better odds here. See, this gives me 41% because I have more units in the fire group who are able to shoot at that unit. So even though he's protected pretty good, these 4 guys can really light him up. Let's see how this is. Okay, I don't think we can get line of sight on him. With the group, then if you want to spend caps to perform an action, those caps get shared amongst the whole group. But again, you gotta be careful because once everybody's done activated, you don't want to waste your caps. You would want to use your caps to improve your odds of hitting.
Ja, Kamerad.
So I spend 2 caps, and now I have a 72% chance of hitting this unit. So I don't have the dice cam on. So that's your benefits of a group. So use them. They're effective. They allow you to spread your troops out. You don't have to make a single hex that contains a huge stack of folks. In order to move them together as one, you can actually spread them out a little bit. That way when the enemy attacks, they're still attacking individual unit and not every single unit in a stack, but it still allows you to bring lots of people forward at a single time. So if you have any questions about groups, ask. I use them. This scenario, maybe not as much. Like I said, this was just a great way to demonstrate it. How I used it was not tactically sound, but I just wanted to show you how it works. So, share your thoughts, opinions, and we will talk to you another time. So give me just a moment here to switch over to this, and we'll stop recording. And I'm not sure exactly what we'll talk about next time. So if there's anything particular to the game that you want to see, some aspect of vehicles, something like that, just let me know, and I'll see if I can put something together using the game. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.